And we're on. So hey there, everybody. This is Lynn Hamilton, your lead instructor here at Samson. I am glad you are with us today. For those that are online or here in person, we've got pretty much of a full house here. So quick reminder, if you do not have a handout, the Cardinal Nest will have your handout for you. So we're kind of going through our basic prep stuff. Go ahead and make sure you got both of these packets downloaded and printed out real quick for yourself so we can use those because you'll want to write on them. If you're here in class or online, go ahead and pull out a pen, pencil, highlighter, something, because you're definitely going to want to take some notes on here, and I'll help guide you. So this is Buyer Consultation Part 2 of 3. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So that's where you can find the handouts in the nest under resources for you. And thank you to my team who's in the back of the room who is always there to make sure that everything is posted up. I appreciate you guys big time. And the old saying, I couldn't do it without them. So kudos to them as well. We also want to always thank Cardinal Title who helps bring these classes to you. So remember, they are there for you. Want to remind you too that every Thursday from 11 to 12, I do a virtual Q&A, and the link is on in the Cardinal Nest on the calendar. So hopefully if you just listened to the sales meeting, you know about the fourth quarter challenge, and so our Thursday Q&A is going to be geared towards helping you through that challenge. So we're going to make sure you guys all win. A special thanks to Cardinal. We mentioned them. They are always a wonderful supporter of making sure that you guys have the best classes available to you. So here's a couple quick suggestions. As always, the front page is designed to be a checklist and to check off the tasks as you do them and as you get them done. They're also designed to have a 3-hole punch put in them and put into your 3-ring binder. Again, you are creating your own customized training manual out, and that is why we do it that way. All right, when you're going to meet either with me or one of your coaches or your mentor or your broker, whomever, try to bring your 3-ring binder with you. It lets them see what you've gotten done, what you haven't gotten done, where your hiccups are, and where you're getting caught up. So that will help as well. For those that are watching in the lower, that side of the page, right hand, left hand side, I know my right from my left, there's a page number that coincides with the page of the handout. So if you get sidetracked and need to come back, that's where it is, and that's how it is connected. So boom, there it is. All right, as always, we got a couple classroom rules. Want to make sure your phones are off and are silent, because if not, I will answer them. You don't want me doing that. I'm just letting you know. I'm going to ask you to be open to some new ideas. Are we good with that? I need thumbs up. Thumbs up. Good. All right, new ideas are going to be coming. As always, may I have your permission to be blunt and honest with you? Tell you what you need to know and not always what you want to hear. All right, Miss Katie knows that one after our phone call last week. I'm going to ask you to hear my heart, forgive my mouth. If you're in class and I know you, it's pick-on time, so we're good. We're good. So you need to hear my heart, forgive my mouth. Usually I'll give you a warning if something's about ready to slip out. You do have to laugh at my stupid jokes. There you go. Okay. And what I hope is that you will always sit back and learn something new, but more important, I want you to have your aha, your takeaway, and what is it you're going to implement. Because as I've said before, this information is no good whatsoever until you implement it. So that's where we want to take you. So boom, there are the basic classroom rules. We're going to jump right in and get started. Now, our words of wisdom, as I always like to have for you, is you don't practice until you get it right. You practice until you can't get it wrong. Have any of you ever heard that old saying, practice makes perfect? That's a stupid comment. Because if you're practicing and you're doing it wrong, you just get really good at doing it wrong. It doesn't mean that you got it right. And you guys know I like to share some stories with you. So here's one. A friend of mine years ago, her daughter was taking baton. Now, for those that don't know, I used to be a baton twirler. Retired at 15 as a national champion. And she was trying to do a one spin where you throw it, spin once, and catch it. She had been practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing and couldn't nail it. She was frustrated. So her mom says, hey, you used to twirl. Can you come and see, to practice and see if you can give her any advice? So I said, sure. So I came, saw her do it, and I went, I knew exactly where the little mistake was being made. So I had her turn sideways so I could see her do it from the side. She did it again, missed. And I said, come with me, my little chickadee. And we went off into the hallway. And what she was doing, she was practicing. But it wasn't connecting, because what she was doing, instead of spinning on the front foot, she would step back, spin, she'd come around, she'd be here, the baton would be there. So I backed her up against a wall, got in front of her face and said, now do it. She kind of panicked because she thought she was going to nail me. I was prepared. I've been hit with batons before. And she did it. I stepped away. She did it again. Did it again, did it again, did it again, did it again. Nailed every single time. I said, go back and show your mom. She went back in, showed her mom, nailed it. And then she went and showed the teacher. Now, that teacher should have caught that early on, but she didn't. So here there had been months of frustration because she was practicing. But one little offbeat made it not effective. So practice does not make perfect. It's perfect practice that makes perfect. And you don't practice until you get it right. You do it over and over and over again until you can't get it wrong, and it flows right out. Okay? There you go. So that is your word of wisdom, takeaway for this session. So are you ready to jump in and get started? Ready. All right. 2 weeks ago, or whatever it was, we talked in part 1 about understanding a little bit about personality styles enough to be dangerous. If you have not listened to or re-listened to part 1 of the buyer consultation, it is up in the nest. You can find it. I would encourage you to go back and listen to it, because I'm just going to hit the highlight, not the same depth that I did there. So everybody has a personality type and a learning style. Now, have any of you ever done a buyer or seller consultation and you walked out going, nailed it, I got it, boom. And then you found out 2 days later they went and listed or signed with somebody else? Has that ever happened to anybody who's gutsy enough to give me a, yeah, a few hands are popping up? That is because, more than likely, you gave what was important to you, not what was important to them. And that's where the DISD personality profile comes into play, also the learning styles. So I'm going to take just a minute here and do a quick reminder of how those play in and play a part. And again, I would encourage you, please go back to session 1 of buyer consultation and listen to it in its entirety. So on the personality types, and we are most people, but I'm going to pick on her. Most people are a balance of the D, the I, the S, and the C. Now, there are some, mentioning no names, that are high off the Richter scale on 1 or 2 and bouncing at the bottom on the other 2. I'm still laughing. Hello. Yep. Okay. She's giving me permission, right? Okay. So, but we're all kind of in there somewhere. So the D personality type are the ones that are very results, determined, direct, cut to the point, cut to the chase, give me the numbers, give me the facts, give me the data. All right? Right? Okay. Your I's are the influencers. They are the ones that are very energetic, very talkative, very persuasive, outgoing, life of the party, can talk to anybody about anything. We're the I's. Your C personality type are the ones that are very precise, very analytical, mentioning no names, very detail-orientated. The I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. Okay? Your S's, again, are very steady. They are thoughtful. They are supportive. They are patient. But they also want to know there's a system in place that's going to walk them through. So with those quick snippets of those personality types, it is important when you do a buyer consultation or a seller consultation, unless you give them a test to take, you're not going to know until you catch on to a few things. This is why it is important that your buyer and seller consultation is directed at all 4 personality types. And as we walk through it, I'm going to tell you which page is going to hit the D, which page is going to hit the I, which page is going to hit the S and the C. Now, we'll probably do a full personality assessment class down the road. because it will be fun and funny, because I just pick on everybody, myself included. I have been a certified disc instructor for years, and I love bringing it to the table so that you understand. But go back to, have you ever done a buyer or seller consultation where you found out later they went with somebody else, and you're going, but I nailed it. No, you nailed it for you. You didn't nail it for them. So this is where those personalities come into place. You with me on this one? Yes. Okay, don't lose me. All right. The next thing is the learning style. We are either visual, we need to see it. Okay, we need to see it. We are auditory, which means we need to say it and or hear it. Or we're kinesthetic, which means we need to do it, but we also are very hands-on. Now, most of us, to be truthful, we're all a little bit of all of the above. Now, yes, there are some people that are absolutely off the Richter scale visual. There are some that are off the Richter scale auditory, and then there's others that are kinesthetic to the 9 and not so much of the other. But most of us have a little bit of all of the above, which is why the verbal, the seeing, and the hands-on becomes a valuable part of your business. Got that with me? Got it? Okay, good. Phew, all right. What we're going to do next is, I want you to understand, we're going to go through page by page. What I want you to understand is your consultation is not carved in stone. It is what I call a living and breathing document. And yes, this will be or should be downloaded on the Nest. You will download it, you will customize it, and work from there. So it is not carved in stone. It is living and breathing, and you will adjust it as you need be. So here's my suggestion. Grab yourself a highlighter, pen, pencil, lip lighter, whatever you got handy. My purse is over here if you need an extra lipstick, because we're going to mark this baby up. It's going to look like a coloring book when you get done. All right? Woo! All right. We ready for the next part? Okay. Give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up. Good. All right. So in your second handout that starts with welcome, we're going to walk through this page by page. So grab yourself your instrument of choice. You're going to highlight it. You're going to mark it. You're going to write on it. So, I will pause occasionally to allow you to do that. All right. So here's the one thing I want to make sure that you understand is you will need to be able to customize this. So there's a header up here. If you don't like and don't want to use a header, take the header out. If you want to put your information down at the bottom, that's fine. The footer, which is at the bottom, it's got Samson Properties in there. That is where your office address will go. So make sure that's on there. With the header and the footer, they will carry on to each and every page. So all you have to do is update it on the one page, and it will carry through the entire document. Okay? Is that good? All right. If you don't like the font on this, change it. All right? We just did it in a basic font. Obviously, you would put your client's name. I always like to have the client name big and bold on there. Presented by your name, your information, blah, 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 blah. Now, I did put your picture optional because, again, depending on whether you've got a signature block thing that you want to put in there or whatever, customize this for yourself, all right? Now, at the bottom, we have note. Information provided is deemed correct but not guaranteed. This is CYA. You're going to cover your backside. Information is intended to be a guiding factor and overview of the process. Virginia is one of those states where the home buyer bears the responsibility to investigate a property to their satisfaction before they buy. Now, I realize that we are in several states here. So if your state is different or you want to reword that, please go in and adjust it. You can take out Virginia if your state is a buyer beware state like Virginia is. So the purpose there is to let them know that this is CYA. Does everybody know what CYA is? Yeah. Cover your, yeah. So that is there for the purpose, yeah, somebody said it in class. See, that's the fun you miss when you are just watching it online. So there you have it. But that is for those that are detailed, that D. Okay, so that's good for them. It's good though, it's good. All right, any questions on page 1? Awesome, flip over to page 2. of your buyer consultation. Again, if you have set the header and the footer, it rolls over, don't need to do it again. On that page, you're going to tell a little bit about Samson and then a little bit about yourself. It is not a 20-page, I'm great, I'm wonderful, yada, yada, yada. What I would do is have a brief little bio if you want to have it in there, or a couple of quick testimonials. Now, if y'all have gone through Jumpstart Session 1, and if you're doing the challenge, that is one of the things that we will make sure you do, is you've got your bio and at least 1 or 2 testimonials up and available, okay? So you should have them. If not, we're going to make sure you get them. Yeah. Go ahead and tell, and I'll repeat.
Okay. I've heard of these videos about that kind of testimonial one. There is a video or in writing.
Okay, the question is whether you want your testimonial in video or writing. I always say get it in writing, and then if you can get a video later, but whichever way you can get it, because if it's a video one, you can transcribe it out and use the words that they have said. Does that make sense? Okay, all right. So a little bit about the company, a little bit about you, or your testimonials in there. Now, if they want to know more about you, they can go to your website, because your full bio is there. If you're hanging out with me, Jumpstart Session 1, it's going to be there. I'll say yes. Shake your head this way. Okay. That way if it falls off, you can catch it. All right. So again, if we add offices, then obviously this will be customized down a little more. I did actually add the West Virginia location in there. So for someone who is a D who wants to know that you're stable, there's a solid company, because some people care, most people don't. Even just seeing this makes that statement, they're ready to move on. All right? So that is the purpose of that page. Question?
So if we don't, for example, if I'm not licensed in DC, I can still put DC.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. So the question is, if you are not licensed in DC, Maryland, or West Virginia, still leave it on there, because it shows that we've got a footprint into all of these areas. And where is Cardinal Title? In all of these areas. Could they, if they lived in DC or Maryland, or if they lived in Virginia but worked in DC or Maryland, could they do a settlement at any office location? Yes. Boom. Okay, that's why that one is. Okay, good question. Thank you. All right, moving on to page 3 of your buyer consultation handout. Real estate broker relationship. Again, please double check which state you are in. If any of this is not the same, please adjust it according to the state that you are in. And the state of confusion does not count, just so you know. I've often been said I'm licensed in 3 states, California, Virginia, and the state of confusion, because these 2 states are about as far apart as they come. All right? California, the sellers had to disclose everything, including the 14-page seller transfer disclosure statement. Virginia, yeah, no, don't have to disclose a whole lot. So just know that regulations and rules do change from state to state. So check this based off what state you are in, adjust if you need to, and therefore it's there. Now, how I used to use this was, obviously, if I'm working with the buyer, I would say in our business relationship, we are working together as your buyer's agent. And I would point to that. I wouldn't read it to them. I wouldn't go through detail with them, but I would just say, boom, there it is. Now, there are some areas and some states that allow, and others that do not allow, dual agency, where you're representing the buyer and the seller. Now, it varies from company to company, but it also varies from state to state. I know it has been a heated argument for about 20 years of whether or not states would prevent that from happening, because that is usually the #1 reason agents get sued, is when they're dual and representing both the buyer and the seller. Now, how I handled that, where I had been, we were allowed to do it. I made a business decision, and this is right when I told my client this. Although it was okay, I made a business decision early on to never represent the buyer and the seller in the same transaction, and here's why. Because most of my business was repeat and referral. I wanted that relationship with you, that you would be comfortable introducing me to those that needed to buy or sell down the road. I never, and this is where you would look them in the eye, never break contact with them and say, I never want you to sit back and wonder whose best interest I have. Yours, the other side, or my own. Because guess what? In their mind, their assumption is you're out after your own best interest, because guess what? You're getting paid on both sides. Okay? So I made a business decision early on that I would not do that. Because I can yell and argue with another agent, I just can't yell and argue with myself. And because I worked so heavily on referrals, I never wanted my client to look at me and wonder whose best interest I had. Now, as we talked in session 1 of the buyer consultation, the part of the reason you're doing this as well is to overcome and stop some of the objections and concerns that will come up before they ever come out of their mouth. That is one of them. So I would just hit it, address it, and move on. Now, the other part, and you may want to make a note on this for your own reference. If it was that, and I'm going to pick on you too if that's all right. So if Ahmed had introduced me to Katie, and I went and met with Katie, and we're going through all this, I would at some point, usually here, stop and turn to Katie, full attention, say, Katie, I want to share something with you. I called her by name. I now have her attention. I know, and again, I don't look away. This is where eye contact is critical. I know that we have a mutual friend that has introduced the two of us together. I just want to reassure you that our business together is between you and I. Okay? I will not be sharing with him or her anything to do with the transaction. Now, if you want to tell them how great and wonderful I am, you are certainly welcome to do that. But anything regarding any details of the transaction, this is between you and I. I have a fiduciary responsibility that I take quite seriously to take care of my clients. So I don't know if I needed to say that, but I wanted to just in case. Okay? I have always gotten a thank you for that. And a couple times they've even come back and said, you know, I appreciate you saying that because I was wondering. Okay? So it was going through their head, it just hadn't come out of their mouth yet. Now, one time when I did that, I found out that the potential client, which turned out to be my client after all, was also interviewing with another agent because there was the concern how much of her personal information was going to be shared with the mutual friend. And so when I reassured her that was not happening, she hired me. Okay? And she did tell me later that she was having second thoughts because she didn't want her personal information shared with the other party. And when I said that, that was the deal breaker. That's why I got it. Okay? So does that come into play? Yes. So it overcomes that objection from the get-go, and it sets you up as boom. All right? Any questions on that? Thumbs up? We good to go? All right. Page 4. My professional promise to you. Now, again, I do not read this in its entirety to them, but what I would encourage you to do is learn how to read these upside down. Because with any luck, you have it in front of them that you're presenting it to them, and you want to be able to highlight. So you practice it, and you practice it, and you practice it until you know what you want to share with them. So my professional promise to you is that I'm going to serve as your advocate, your consultant, your realtor, and your PPS. Now, we all know what the PPS is, and usually at that point they'll go, wait a minute, what's your PPS? You are their professional problem solver. Bam, there you go. And then, so I will highlight that of importance, and then I'll, kind of group this bottom half together. Is I'm going to keep you informed, we're going to work together, blah, 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 blah. That is my promise to you. Now, you will have put your name in here at the bottom. And what I used to like to do is grab my pen and say, I want to sign it. And I will take the booklet back from them. I will sign it, turn it around, and give it back to them. That is a powerful boom. Huh? What was? Well, you would type your name underneath here, and then in front of them, sign it. boom. Your D's are going to go hot damn. Oh, hell yeah. Okay? She's a D, by the way, in case you haven't figured that out. All right? So now you have communicated to them what your professional promise to them is. Now they know, move on. Next page over is, let me share with you what I'm looking for in a client. Is that okay? And they usually go, yeah. And again, someone who's going to be realistic based off the current market conditions. Okay, the purpose again of this interview, this consultation, is to basically interview them and them interview you to make sure that you guys are going to be good to work together, because guess what? You can hire them, fire them, or refer them to somebody else. And they can do the same to you. And if you find out that they're going to be unrealistic, is that transaction or that process going to be a living hell? Yes, it can be. So I stated, again, from the very beginning, what I'm looking for in a client is who's going to be realistic based on the current market conditions. Not what the market was 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, 6 months ago. What's going on right now. Now, if they were thinking in another direction, it's putting them back into check, which is a good thing. Then I would highlight one or two other things on here that are important to you or important to that client. If you know them, you can kind of gear. But the first one is critical. Pick one or two other ones, highlight that, and they can come back and read it later. You do not need to or want to read the entire thing to them. Now, comes the question of the buyer-broker agreement. Oh, look, I've answered that question right at the very bottom in the little box. And I've given the NAR form, revised, the what and the why. As of July 1st, 2012, Virginia has required all realtors in Virginia to have a signed written buyer-broker agreement before showing a property. Now, I know somebody's having a fit behind the scenes going, but I always just take them out. That is an option. Is it your only option? No. Is it your best option? In my opinion, no. All right? Knock it off. So, now, if you've got someone who's not wanting to sign, this states why. And if they tell you, well, I know an agent who won't make me sign, great, I want to know what other unethical things they're going to do. And then I usually look at them, and I have said that one time. You know, if they're willing to blow this one off, I wonder what other unethical things they're willing to do. And then I shut up and I look at them. Usually they'll say something. They usually have to get their foot out of their mouth first, and then they'll say something. It's like, oh, I didn't know that was a regulation. Okay?
So before you show them any.
Legally, you're supposed to have yeah. Now, you can do a 1 day. And again, there is, this is a whole conversation of how and why it's important to have that signed. Because again, if you're applying for a job here, right? Okay? So are you going to go, I don't know, downstairs and find another company, go in and just start working for them without having any agreement with them? No. So, kind of the same thing. Okay, all right. Yes. Yeah. That comes in the next couple of pages. Okay, so about the compensation. Now, notice I didn't say commission. Yeah. You will take commission out of your vocabulary. Okay. You get your broker gets compensated. The brokerage gets compensated. And I'll come back to that coming up in a couple pages, okay? Good point, thank you. Okay, any other questions before we move on? I got a couple questions popping up.
For the previous page, actually,
yeah.
For my professional promise, does it make sense to add the promise of not sharing the personal information?
Yeah, you can absolutely customize this. If you want to put a thing in there that, the confidentiality absolutely is important. You certainly can. Again, this is living and breathing. You can customize it as you like. Okay. There was another question hand. Yes.
The buyer broker.
Yeah.
At what point do you bring that one out?
When I finish this, that's our first step at the end. Okay. So the question was, when do I bring out the buyer broker form to be filled out kind of at the end. Once we agree we're going to work together, then our first step is that. Okay? And you'll see when we get to the end about the next step. Okay? Any other questions before we move on? Awesome, we're good. Okay. Let's flip on over. So what you're looking for in a client, boom, chakalaka. That is a technical term, I think. All right. So on page 6 of your handout, it then talks about the team. Now, this is brilliant when you are fairly new and they know you're fairly new. You now get to gloat about when you hire me, you also get the team that's behind me. Now, they're not ghosts back there that you're seeing roaming around. There's actually a whole team of people behind, a whole team of people that work with me to get my clients through to the end of their transaction. Now, what did you just say? As we work together, so you're already going with the assumption you are going to work together. Embedded command, neurolinguistics. Okay? As we work together, you will find that there's a whole team of people that come with me. And yes, if you want to be silly, they're not ghosts behind you. They could be, but you don't, yeah. So, but there's a whole bunch of people, professionals behind you that all work together as a team to get to the end, okay? So if you're new, this is a brilliant page. One of the things I want to point out is if you notice a lot of these pages have little bullet points. Who wants to see those bullet points? Your C's and your S's. Embedded command, they're looking at that going, dang. Now, do they read it? Maybe, maybe not. But what they are seeing and grasping is you have a system in place because they want to know there's a system and a checklist. There it is again. That is why it's done in that format. You want to have plenty of white space around, not too much wording, and get to the point. All right? It is also at that point that you're able to say that there is typically between 70 and 100 pieces of paper that include contracts, disclosures, reports, communications that all need to be processed and monitored through this process, and that is what me and the team do for you as well. Okay? So if they were thinking, oh, this is easy, I can do it myself, they're going, wait a minute, 100 things I need to know about? Maybe I want to rethink that. All right? So that is the logic and the reason behind that one.
And you kind of read this briefly to them.
Yep. You have 2 or 3 bullet points from each page that you want to bring to their attention with your finger so you can have them follow. Because again, it's facing them. And whenever you're sitting with them, whenever possible, you want to be directly across from them so that you can still point and they can read. Now, they're not typically are not going to read it verbatim at the time. You're going to give the highlights to them. They'll take a look at it later. All right, so the next page over, page 7, the reasons for buying a home. Now, here are several options of reasons why buying a home. Lourdes, let me ask you this. Why are you interested in buying a home? What's your big why here?
Because my family is growing.
Because the family is growing? Okay. Now, if you will go back to Jumpstart Session 1, please. In the very beginning, we talk about your big why, but then I also show you how to take it and leverage it with a client. Remember, we have talked about over and over and over again how the pieces of the puzzle at some point start coming together. So, Jumpstart Session 1, the big why. Oops. No, that came with love, by the way. Okay. Yeah, you don't fall asleep in my class. All right. No, he wasn't, by the way. Oh, my God. Okay, so what that does is that takes that technique of their big why to ask them one question. Their home no longer meets their needs. So she needs to get a bigger home because of the family. So tell me a little bit about that. And she would go on to say that, you know, whatever's going on in the life, there's kids, there's grandkids, there's parents, there's whatever it is, they're going to tell you. Okay? That's where that technique comes in and plays a little part right there. We get to it more down the road. All right? Okie dokie. Next page over. Action plan. This is important. Your S and your C, even your I, is going to go, okay, we got an action plan, all right? They want to know there's methodical, step-by-step process. Boom, bullet points. If you don't like these little bullet points, you can change them to a check mark or whatever. Don't put numbers, don't put letters. But this, just the visual of this, your S and your C and even your I is going to go, perfect. You're hired. Because that's what you want them to do mentally along the way is you're hired. You're perfect for me. So what is the action plan? And we're going to start at the top. First thing we're going to do here in about 2 seconds is we're going to explore what your wants and needs and your dreams are regarding your new home. The next thing that we are going to need to do is talk to a lender to find out what your purchasing power is. Now, I have learned to take out of my vocabulary what you are qualified for. Okay? What is your purchasing power? Now, keep in mind, you want to find out what their purchasing power is, but I used to always ask my lender, what are they comfortable with? Because they may be sitting there going, okay, I can make a $2,000 payment, but I'd really like something at $1,800. I'm just making up numbers. $1,800 because I've got a kid that's getting ready to go into braces. I've got kids that are getting ready to go to college. I got whatever coming up, whatever their life thing is. Big mistake that I have seen agents make over the years is they go, oh, good, you can qualify for this amount. We're going to go look at that price. No, you want to find out what they're comfortable with. And I cannot tell you how many times I've seen agents get fired by the buyer or have ghosted them and have disappeared because the agent took on, oh, good, you can go for this price. Why? That was in their own best interest. People aren't stupid. They figure that out real quick. You did not have their best interest at heart. You had your own based off the commission that you were going to get. So always ask, when you talk to a lender, and this is another good point to note off to the side for yourself. I would always tell my client, when you talk to the lender, it is also done confidentially. I do not get details back, because don't forget, we have a mutual friend, and you're thinking, I don't want him to know, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to ask the lender two questions. What are you qualified for? What is your purchasing power? And then what are you comfortable with? Because sometimes that's two different numbers. The other question I'm going to ask, especially now because our interest rates are like a teeter-totter, if interest rates go up, where is their cap? Where is the cap at? Because I do need to know that. That's the only thing I need to know. I don't need to know FICO scores. I didn't need to know yada. I don't need to know any of that stuff. All I need to know is those three things. Purchasing power, what you're comfortable at, and what is the max interest rate. So if that starts flexing, I need to keep an eye on it. All right? There you go. Then I'm just going to highlight just real quick. We're going to take a look at what's available on the market. Whenever possible, I like to go out and preview a home because when we go out for the first time, we're out to go shopping. The first time out to show you homes, it's all about me. And they're sitting there going, it's all about you. I think I'm buying the home. No, it's all about me. I want to know, did I get it right? Did I hear you correctly with what your wants and needs were? Did I nail it? So I'm not going to go out and say, oh, look, this is a cute kitchen. I don't care. I want to see your reaction to the house. I want to know, did I get it right? And if I did, oftentimes you're going to be ready to make a selection and put in an offer on the first 3 to 5 properties we go see. Okay? Now, we're not seeing 2,700 properties. Okay? I'm going to do my job because is your time valuable? Is your gas valuable? Mm-hmm. Yeah, my friends in California are paying $6 and $7 a gallon. One another good reason why I don't live there anymore. All right? So this, again, is setting that expectation. Your D, what the D is hearing is, oh, good, you ain't going to waste my time. Because that is the last thing a D wants to do is go out and see stuff that doesn't meet their needs. They're going to tell you what they want, what their needs are. You're going to ask a couple key questions in return. You're going to find it, and if you need to go preview it. Because guess what? Photography is sometimes creative. All right? So whenever possible, because again, they're working a lot of times 9 to 5. And if I can kick a property off the list, I'm not going to take them out to show them something that doesn't meet their needs. But I'm going to tell you how we assess it here in a minute, so hang on. So when we go out and take a look, it's all about me the first time out. I want to make sure I got it right. Did I really get to the core of what you are looking for? Did I nail it? Are we good there? And I ask them, are we good? And they go, yeah. Again, your D is going, hot damn, she ain't going to waste my time. Your I's are going, oh, cool, okay, that's all right. They don't care. They just want to be out. Your S's and your C's are going good, because the one thing they do not want is their time wasted or being taken advantage of. So your comment about, I'm going to find out what your purchasing power is and what you're comfortable with. I'm going to nail the property down based off what you have told me you are wanting and needing. And we're going to go out and take a look. Okay? By then, we're ready to buy. This isn't 6-month looky-loo. And, I tell them that too. And I'm not going to drive you around town so you can enjoy the fall foliage. I'm just saying. I'm not your chauffeur. Yes, we're in a 6-month looky-loo, okay? So from there, we're going to write an offer. We're going to negotiate. We're going to get the team involved. Then you will do your due diligence. And if they don't know what due diligence is, once I hit that, we reference it down here. What is their due diligence? Their due diligence is the buyer is responsible for fully investigating the conditions of the property, read and review all documents, inspection reports, and investigate to their satisfaction.
With our help.
With your help, of course. But can you read the report and give them the synopsis? No. Okay, it is their responsibility to read it verbatim. And most of them, when you read them, you'll know if there's a problem. Okay, but I always drive that home, that is the buyer's responsibility to do their due diligence, to do all the inspections that they're concerned about, and read and analyze, including HOA docs. That's a whole other story. All right, flip over to the next page for me. Pre-qualified versus pre-approval. So now that we are kind of getting into this, Katie, our first step is going to be this. This is the first critical step. We need to make sure we're not putting the cart before the horse. You don't need to go into any more detail. The visual says it all. We need to have you talk to a qualified lender to find out what your purchasing power is, because it does us no good. If we're going to go out and look at homes that you can't afford, let's go look at the $1 million stuff. Let's go look at the good stuff. Okay? Okay, we're not going to go to, no insults to anybody here, but we're not going to go to Kay Jewelers. We're going to go to, Tiffany and Company. All right? So, next page over, real quick, selecting a lender. Always, always, always have your favorite lenders in there. Obviously, First Heritage is our lender of choice. I have gone ahead and dropped their logo in there. You will customize this page, add their information in there for them. Good? Good. All right, I will always ask. So, Ahmed, I'm going to go ahead with, so are you comfortable in talking to them to kind of find out what your options are? Okay, I'm going to, when we're done and I get back to my office, I'm going to send you an email and them an email introducing you to each other. You okay with that? Perfect. Okay, now, that's all I need to do. All right, because now, yes, my lender of choice is going to get introduced to him in one email. Hey, say hello to Tom. Tom, say hello to Ahmed. Both contact information, ball's in your court now. Now, I'm going to highlight the next page over is paperwork or loan application requirement or required information. Here is a list for you of basic things that you are going to need to bring to the table, because these are things that they're going to need to verify. So, don't tell me you went to somebody online, because you don't want to hear that. But if they, I talked to somebody online, usually my facial expression speaks volumes. And I'll just go, oh, that's scary. Again, these are usually people that I knew, so I had a little more leeway of fun. And by that point, they knew I was wacko, so it was all good. But here is a list of things that you're going to need to pull together, so when you actually meet with and talk to the lender, these are things they're going to require for verification, okay? So, and again, a lender may come up with additional things, but I've had lenders look at this every time. They go, yep, this is good. Gets them started. Now, one thing on there for a VA loan, it asks for the DD-214. Do all of you know what the DD-214 is? No. Okay, the DD-214 is a military form that is their exit from the military. And the form, we all have form numbers at the bottom. It is a DD-214. So if they have been in the military, the DD-214 shows that they had been in the military, and that is their exit paperwork from there, okay? So that is what that is. All right. So I will let you absorb that for 1 second. I'm going to take a sip. We're going to come back. Okay. Moving on. Moving on. All right. So the next page talks about the 7 things not to do during the loan process. This is where, we're going to pause and we're going to go through this one. Okay? Everything else is kind of a quick synopsis, bullet pointing, couple of things on there. This is where I pause, and this is where I say, you know what? I'm as serious as a heart attack on this one. My job is to be your advocate and your consultant. You have given me permission to be blunt and honest with you, tell you what you need to know, not always what you want to hear. This is serious. I'm going to make sure that you understand the things not to do during the loan process. What has happened is, not to me because I coach my clients really well, but what I hear happening is I've gotten pre-approved, they figured they're good to go, then they go out and change jobs, or they decide to go, well, I'm approved, so I'm going to go ahead and buy the car. The house that we've got an offer on, that we got accepted, has got a 3-car garage, so I'm going to buy the boat that I wanted. Oh, wait, now I need the bigger truck to be able to pull the boat. Now, all of a sudden, their numbers are all skewed. Does it happen? Yes. Or they decide, okay, well, now I've got a family room and a movie theater, so I'm going to go buy, the big screen TV and, the recliner chairs and blah, 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 blah. Even on layaway, So I literally stop and tell them I am as serious as a heart attack on this one. My job is to protect you and keep you out of trouble, because if you do any of these during the loan process and at the last minute your numbers are skewed off, that we can't process that loan and get it funded at the very end, you are at risk of not only losing your earnest money deposit, you could also get sued. Okay? So, yes, I'm going to go through this. Are we Huh? Yeah, it tells them what not to do. And then I let them know that their credit score may be checked up to 3 times during the loan process, before the during and just before the funding. And these things at the bottom could change the ability to fund the loan and could result in loss of your earnest money deposit or legal action. Are we crystal clear on this? Good. All right. You have a red pen handy. You have a red pen handy, and you say, all right, you're going to sign this in blood. Oh, wait. I have a red pen. Will that work better? I literally give them the choice, blood or the pen, and I literally make them put their initials on them, both of them, if there's 2, a smiley face, I don't care. The joke of you're going to sign this in blood, or, okay, I'll give you the red pen. I literally make them initial it, smiley face it, star it, something, because that will stick with them and they will remember this. This stays in their packet, okay? 30% of loans fall apart because a buyer did something stupid in the process and we're not able to fund at the last minute. Has it happened? Oh, yes. One time only, did I have a client that got so excited, they went to put furniture on layaway, and I said, you ain't doing nothing. I don't know why they called me, but I'm glad they did. I said, put the pen down, you ain't signing diddly squat. I said, put the sales rep on the phone. I got the furniture sales rep on the phone. I said, you work by commission? He says, yes. And I said, okay, I understand what you're doing, but if you do, they will have a furniture and no home. I don't think that furniture is going to fit in their car or a vacant field. So put the pen down. If you let them sign that, my mouth will go in high gear that you allowed this to have happen. because guess what? I help people all the time with homes. But I understand you work on commission. Let's work together. You stop it here, and I will make sure that your card goes into my packet for future clients that need to buy furniture. I will recommend they come see you. Which way do you want to go? He goes, pins down. I said, good call. I later went in and saw him and thanked him. Okay, we ended up having a great working relationship after that. Okay, but they get excited and they sometimes forget. You need to remind them over and over and over again. These are things not to do. Remember, you signed it in blood. They will remember. Okay, whew, we good? Did I hammer that one home? All right, awesome. All right, so moving on. Next page over. Who pays for what? Again, oh, got a question here?
They also can't co-sign
Correct.
for other people's loans.
Correct.
They can't co-sign for their daughter's car loan because her car broke down and they had to do it.
Yeah, you
And they
cannot
knocked
co-sign
themselves
either.
out of Conventional, and then they went to FHA. My communication said, inform you of any problems, changes, blah, blah, blah. They liked my communication. They actually replied to it, said, great, we'll do that. Checked in with them every day. I found that out like 2 weeks late. And then they said, but we can get out of this now because this is too much. And I said, no, we do not have a contingency for FHA.
Correct.
We have a contingency for conventionals. So when they change, they lose their contingency unless the seller agrees to a new contingency.
Correct. Yeah, make sure, and we'll probably write yourself a note. We're going to add that to it. Make sure that they understand they cannot co-sign for anything either. Now, I had one client one time, and this, oh, we were all furious. Years prior, he had co-signed with his brother on a property. He told his brother that they were getting ready to buy a house and to at least keep the payments up or let him continue to make the payments and not let it go into foreclosure or to be behind, because obviously his name was on it as well on the loan. Brother said, okay, 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 okay. The attorney who was helping the brother file bankruptcy told him, just go ahead and stop making payments. The brother never told the attorney. Well, my brother said, I can't do that. He was, oh, okay, fine. And so when Richard and Heather got ready to buy, they found out that brother had stopped making payments, and they were now pushed several months out before they could qualify on their own.
I work with a lot of people who own small businesses.
Small businesses.
Small businesses, and they are always tempted to not declare taxes for that term,
Yeah,
so they can save that money.
yeah. So,
Actually, one did.
yeah.
They just pushed the whole thing.
Yeah. So the comment, the question is, and again, this goes for self-employed. If you have a small business or you have, a self-employment type thing, that you're not claiming or paying taxes, which means that you've got the cash, but that always doesn't serve you well when it comes time to buy. So that is where it can bite you in the butt as well. So again, when you've got clients that are self-employed or have their own business or whatever, you need to take a look at what they filed on taxes, not always what they are verbally claiming. And they don't understand. Yeah. Yep, exactly. They don't understand that filing taxes prove income. Yep, yep. And again, there's a lot of real estate agents who have made decent money, but didn't file taxes and claimed all these, exemptions. So it looked like they made this amount instead of this amount, which was fine until they got ready to wanting to buy, and then found out they couldn't because they had all this deferred income. So anyway, so I just make sure on this one when we're talking about who pays for what, I just give a quick synopsis and just say, as you can see, both parties have financial responsibilities of things they do need to pay. Okay. All right. One more question back here.
One more thing you might want to add is I've had a lot of clients recently say, I'm going to change jobs and buy a house. And speechless. I just stopped.
Yeah.
You wait
Number one on the list, quit or change a job. Yeah.
But it's not just quit or change your job. It's like that's number one on the list, but they change fields.
Yeah.
So I said, well, you need to talk to a loan officer because you're changing within the same field because you might not have a choice.
Yep.
COVID, all that stuff. You might have a choice, but if it's in the same field, you can still get approved for a loan. Do not start your own business.
Yep.
That's another
Yep.
one.
Talk to the lender. And yeah, once they start talking to the lender, nothing can change. is the point that you want to drive home with them, okay? All right, who pays for what? Again, I don't go into this in detail a whole lot. I leave this for them to come back and take a look at their own leisure. Obviously, as you can see, both sides, the buyer and the seller, have financial buy-in to make a transaction go to the end, and we'll come back and visit that later. Move on, you're ready to go. Funds and reserve needed. Again, I don't go into a lot of detail on this specifically. I leave this for them to take a look at later, but I just want to mention it to them in the consultation that this is just a kind of a 30,000 view synopsis of some of the things, not all of the things, some of the things that may be required to be paid for. So you need to make sure once you've talked to the lender, you also have the financial reserve that you need to get through the transaction. Okay? Good. Move on to the next one. All right. Take a deep breath. Whew. Next portion that we want to get into is the general overview of loan options. I do not get into detail on this. I am not a lender. This is general information. I will mention to them, I am obviously not a lender. This is not my field of expertise. I just want to give them some basic information and maybe talking points when they go to talk to a lender. That's all I need to hit on that, but your D's are going hot damn excellent. Because they're the analytical, they want to know the numbers, they want to know the stats, they want to know the details. If people ask me what the interest rates are right now, I ask them what their blood pressure is, because it fluctuates. They usually laugh, but we get the point across. I will not, nor should you, get into a discussion regarding loan options with a client because you are not the lender. Stay in your lane. Good. Next thing over. The search. Let me just give you a couple quick bullet points on how we are going to start searching for the property once I know what your purchasing power is. Those are the words that start off this page. So, we are going to look in one of a couple directions. Yes, I'm going to look on the MLS, but that is not the only place to look. Now, this is where you get to shine, especially if you know that they're also interviewing another agent, because this will separate you from the crowd. Remember I talk a lot about being the uncola? Do something different and unique? Boom, here it is. So how I would address this one is, let me just give you a kind of quick overview of how we're going to start the search once I know what your purchasing power is. Now, does every door have a front door? Does it often have a side door? Back door? Garage door? Good, because I'm knocking on all of them. Here's what I'm going to do for you. Here is what I'm going to do for you. Yes, we're going to take a look at the MLS to see what's available currently on the market. I'm also going to network with the over 6,000 agents I have within my own brokerage. Now, your D is going, damn. Your S's and C's are going, or your I's going, wow, you know that many people. So now they're impressed. Your S's and your C's are impressed because you have a bullet point list. Okay? So I'm going to network with the other agents that I know, not only within my organization, but any other function or event that I happen to go to. If we find a for sale by owner, it is my job to know what the inventory is. If it is an option that meets your criteria, we will have a conversation because, listen carefully, if you find a for sale by owner that meets their needs, I will tell them right up front. If we find one that does meet your needs, the worst scenario is you may need to pay, listen to me, the compensation to my brokerage. If it is a for sale by owner and the seller is not willing to pay the compensation to my brokerage, that may need to come from your side. It is not paying you commission, because do you get the commission check? No, you do not. Does the compensation go to your brokerage? Yes. Okay. That is one of the best lines you can have memorized in your vocabulary to flow out. Do I know agents that have done this? Oh, heck yes. And they nailed it every time because they found out for their buyers who could and could not, if need be, pay the 2.5% or 3% compensation to the brokerage. I never said about paying me. They don't understand how it goes behind the scenes. Okay? Jerry did it, nailed it every friggin' time. And it was in a market that was a difficult, challenging market. There were a lot of for sale by owners on the market because there were a lot of ex-real estate agents that thought, oh, I got a license, I can do this, and never done a transaction in their life, so they're trying to do their own. Boom. Actually, in fact, hang on one second. One of my first transactions was with a for sale by owner, and the guy that was selling it, can I say he was an idiot and get away with it? Is that okay? All right, good. All right, so he was an idiot. He thought because, he'd been in the same class with me before we went and took our tests. So he thought he knew it. We so took advantage of him because he didn't know he didn't need to pay for all the stuff that showed up on the home inspection. He just figured he had to. I wasn't going to tell him. I was out to represent my client. My client was the buyer. $750,000 property in a high. This was the low point of a high-end neighborhood. Was I going to tell the seller he didn't need to do it? No. I'm out for my client. I'm thinking if he's stupid enough, thinks he's got to pay for it, I'm going to let him pay for it. And he did. So there you have it. For sale by owners. Whenever possible, whenever possible, we're going to preview because I want to make sure that I've got it right. We've already talked about that a little bit. And I am going to create a custom search into other areas in case we are not able to find what you are looking for. Now, what you will do is you will go into any expired, withdrawn, or canceled listings over the last couple of months. Yes, you do need to double check, make sure they've not been relisted or sold. But if that property meets the criteria for your buyer, what you will do first, you never, ever, ever go to the homeowner first. You wouldn't want it done to you, don't do it to somebody else. You go to the listing agent, because it's listed right there, and ask, by chance, hey, Katie, this is Lynn over at Samson Properties. I have a buyer that is qualified to purchase, is looking in this area. I see that you once had a property a couple months ago listed. It is currently withdrawn or canceled or expired, whatever the situation is. By chance, are you still in touch with that seller and are they still interested in selling? Okay? Once you find out, you will find out yes or no. And at least you're then able to go back to your buyer and say, okay, remember I told you I was going to knock on the front door, the MLS? I knocked on the side door. That's the networking with my 6,000 closest friends. I'm going to keep an eye on for sale by owners. I'm going to preview homes whenever I can. That's the side door. But the garage door is I'm going to do a custom search for properties that are currently not on the market that may meet your criteria. Boom. You just separated yourself, the Uncola. If nothing else, this is your brilliant aha takeaway. Okay? Does it work? Yes. Does it work every time? No, because nothing works every time. But here's the takeaway on this one. When it works, it is brilliant. I called an agent one time and I said, hey, I'm Lynn. I know we haven't had a chance to meet yet or work together, but I saw that you had this listing. It is currently, it was withdrawn. It wasn't canceled, it wasn't expired, so it was withdrawn. I said, but I've got a buyer that this looks like may meet their needs. By chance, is your seller still interested in selling the property? And she says, oh, your timing is perfect. They had pulled it off the market because when they first listed it, he crawled up into the attic to start bringing down the stuff that was stored in the attic over the garage, came down carrying a box, twisted his ankle, broke his leg, had to go through surgery, so they pulled the property off the market so he could have surgery and heal because they kind of decided that him going through surgery and healing and moving was not going to be good timing. So they had pulled it off the market. They were now ready to put it back on the market. She said, your timing is perfect. I said, hot dang, can we get in to see it? I was able to get my buyer immediately in to go see the property just as she was, because obviously she had talked to her seller, and was able to get it back on the market. We were the first to see it, wrote an offer, and we got it. Okay? Does it work? Yes. Does it work every time? No. But when it does, you are the golden child. You are always looking to find that wow opportunity so that your client will not hesitate or think twice about referring you to somebody else they know. Did that just knock it out of the park? Oh, yeah. Absolutely, it did. Yeah, and let me, hang on one second. Can we have the mic? Do you have the mic handy for me? We have one in the back that we'll start there, and then we'll come up here to you. My lovely lady in the back. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I add, going back to pitfalls, for sale by owners, I always add that right in the buyer's agreement that the buyers, if they find a for sale by owner, will contact me before contacting the buyer, the seller, because if they contact the seller, then the seller thinks their marketing brought the buyer.
Correct.
And they don't want to pay any percent. Mm-hmm. But I've even managed to negotiate 2% in that case, going, well, I'm going to do all the paperwork, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do. But if they give me the information, I put that right in the contract, that they'll give me the opportunity to call and negotiate the compensation first, then I get the 3 and usually 4, because I start out at 4.5%. Like, I'm doing both sides. I may as well get paid for both sides.
Exactly.
And I've gotten 4% out of the buyer-seller combination.
Excellent.
In compensation. So if you put it right in the buyer's agreement, which I get signed.
Yep. Excellent. Excellent. And we do have it on the next page, so perfect timing for that one.
Well,
all right. Can you pass the mic up here to my lovely lady up here for her, Carla, for her question? Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
So on the last example, for example, if the property, the agent is not attached with the seller anymore, but your client wants to buy it, how would that work?
Excellent
you
question.
You don't do dual agency, so
I would get another agent. So here, so in answer to that question, let's say the client or the agent, I call the agent, and she's either not, he or she is not in the area, not in the business, not wanting to deal with that client, whatever, or they don't respond, which also has happened. I will give them the opportunity of about 3 days of phone call, text, and email. All 3. If they have not responded, and my client really wants to look at that house, they've done a drive-by, and it's like, yeah, I want to see this, I will go knock on the door. Okay? And I will let them know that I tried to reach out to the agent that had once listed the property and didn't hear back from them. And I will give them the chance to say, oh, I'm not working with them anymore, or whatever. Okay? If they are still in the case where they want to sell, then I would bring another agent in to see if they'll represent the one side, okay? So, because again, I'm not going to double end it, okay? So, good point there. On the for sale by owner, again, when you have that conversation up front with them, that it could potentially cost, there could be an additional 3% or 2%, whatever your commission you're going to take, would be on the buyer side. Now, if the seller for sale by owner decides, okay, I'll pay 1%, then you go back to your buyer and say, the compensation to my broker will be an additional 1.5 or 2% of the purchase price. Is that something that you're comfortable with? And you give them the choice to say yay or nay. Okay, so that's how you can handle that. All right. All right. So I do make sure on this page, the search, that I do go through this with them in a little more detail, because this is you creating that wow factor. Without a doubt, this is your wow factor. Think outside the box, you be creative, you're doing stuff that other agents aren't doing, because guess what? 99% of them are too lazy to look other than on the MLS. Yes, I said that. Sorry. All right, next page over. Again, I make sure we have some fun with this one as well, is don't go alone. I remind them they are to always have my business card with them. I make sure they have 3 or 4 available. I will jokingly tell them if by chance they see an open house and they want to stop in, they better thumbtack or staple their business card to their forehead. I will ask them if I can give them a push pin. Okay? They usually laugh. I say we can tattoo it on there too if you want. Same thing with new home construction. Same thing with a for sale by owner. If they're going to find any of these, I tell them how I need them to respond. If they see a for sale by owner, take a picture, or text me the address, and I'll take it from there. So they know if they're going to go to an open house, they need to thumbtack or staple my business card to their forehead. They laugh, and I offer them a thumbtack. All right? Now, I have actually given, we have those clamps, these clamps, these little guys around. I've actually, again, depending on your client and how much fun you get to have with them, I've actually always had an extra one of these in my bag. I would give them one with my business card, or a couple of business cards. They can clip it to their ear, their nose, their shirt, whatever. They'll take it, but they giggle, but you know what? They'll do it. Because now I've driven the message home in a funny way. Same thing with new home. Okay? If you're wanting to go see, my job, once you hire me, my job is to go with you, because there's protocol and professionalism that needs to be addressed. Okay, so we good there? Thumbtack or staple, what do you want? And they'll usually giggle and say, I'm good. You've driven the message home. Okay. Next page over. At this point, I do not go into a lot of detail with them on this page, but I remind them that, and if you haven't said it already, this is a good time to say it. Real quick, I just want to make sure that, you're going to give me permission to be blunt and honest with you, tell you what you need to know, not always what you want to hear. Good, because when that day comes, we're going to have that. If we need to have that conversation, we will. Now, if that day comes, or when that day comes, I go, okay, so remember the day you told me it was okay to be blunt and honest with you, tell you what you needed to know? Remember that day? And they go, yes. I go, good, because guess what? Today's the day. So it's softened the blow of whatever's got to come next. With that, reality check. And again, I just mentioned this quickly. So as we get you pre-qualified and we know where your purchasing power is, we've done your wants and needs assessment, which we're going to do next. We start looking for property and you're ready to buy, we may need to have a reality check. I just want to let you know that may have to come. We good? We good? Awesome. And we move right along. Because sometimes what they want and what they can afford are two different things. I had a client one time that I suspected what her purchasing power was. She gave me 4 areas when we did the wants and needs assessment that were neighborhoods and zip codes that she liked. I knew that a starting house in that area was not even close to where her purchasing power was. It was more like this. With that, I was able to come back and say, okay, I've done my research. I had it in black and white. This is what I found. The starting point in these zip codes that you gave me are this price point, and it's off from where you're able to start. Okay? I didn't put her down. I didn't say, what are you thinking you can't afford there? But where you need to start right now doesn't align with what's out there in the market. Oh, she didn't realize that. And the one that she had found was an absolute gut fixer-upper. That was not what she needed. So that's where that reality check sometimes need to come in, but I've planted the seed. They know that I'm going to be blunt and honest with them. We're good to go. Move on. Next topic that I hit with them real quick is how I get compensated. There are 3 ways in which I get compensated. I work on a contingency basis versus a retainer, which means I do not get my compensation until such time the transaction has completely and successfully closed. The second way that I get compensated is when I have done such a good job for you, you have no problem in introducing me to those that may need my help. That is the second way in which I get compensated. A referral of future business. The third way in which I get compensated is through our national referral network. So if you know someone that needs to buy or sell that's in another area, I can pre-interview another agent for you and give you 2 recommendations. All right? Now, I'll tell you what. Most of you are only doing number 1. Most of you have totally forgot 2 and 3. Now, There was a gal I knew that took every opportunity she could to go to conferences and conventions and interact with others from different brokerages and different, in different areas. She built up an amazing referral network of agents in other areas. Wait a minute, we talked about this in session 3 of Samson Jumpstart, of building out your database and having other agents in there. Boom, that's where that piece of that puzzle, I need to throw my puzzle pieces around. That's where that piece of that puzzle comes in, all right? That was a part of her marketing, was to stay in touch with these other agents from other areas, because often they would have someone that needed to come to San Diego. So she had people coming in and had the network of going out as well. Every 2 years, any of this money that she made from this referral stuff went into a separate account. Every 2 years, she went and paid cash for a brand new car.
Girl.
Bam! She mastered it to the 9. Okay? So that is how and why that becomes a valuable part of your business plan. Boom! Good, I didn't take the light out. All right? The other thing at the bottom, it shows how the compensation is broken down. Everyone hears the 6%. They assume you get all 6%. No, you don't. There's a breakdown. I leave it there as a visual for them and don't talk about it any further, because I want them to know I get compensated from working with them. I will get compensated when they refer me to other people, or they know somebody in another area, because they may have Aunt Matilda over in Texas that is getting ready to move, and I can still intervene and help them with that, because I can pre-interview and pre-qualify a couple of potential agents for them that they can finish the interview with. Amazing or amazing? Amazing. All right. This is where the fun comes in. This is where, again, I will take a moment here. I will make sure that I have a copy of this printed out on my little notepad or my little folder at the ready. Because as you get ready to go talk to your lender, and I've said that 3 or 4 times through the consultation, because can I do anything without them talking to a lender? No, we cannot. So here's where I want to take a moment to go through what is the nice to have and the needs to have. Now, referencing back to the big why in the Samson Jumpstart Series 1, it's the first thing we talk about, is how then to convert that conversation to get to their big why. Based off this, that's how these 2 pieces, that's how that piece and that piece all come together. We're going to put it together here. I'm going to ask you, okay, so what are the top 5 things that you need to have within the house that we're going to be looking for? You're going to tell me, you're going to tell me, you're going to tell me. I'm going to write them down, and I may pick 1 or 2 and come back and say, why is that important to you? For example, they talk about the yard. I'm going to ask, why is that important? And I go into full detail on that in your session 1 Jumpstart. Go back and listen to it if you haven't already, please. We talk about then the 3 nice to haves. It'd be nice to have this. It'd be nice to have this. Okay, so those are, okay, if I can find them, we're going to find them. And if not, at least we know. Top areas. What are the top areas you're looking for? And then I'm going to go through and ask, is there a preferred school district? When would they like to be in the new house? Are they currently renting? If so, are they month to month or are they on a lease? If they're on a lease and they still have 6 months to go, can we go put an offer in on something next week? Not, well, yeah. I'm going to say yes and no on that one. Yeah, you can, but they need to understand if they're on a lease, they may have to pay the balance of that lease off. You just can't walk out of a lease. So just know that that is a possibility as well. If there is a lease, I want to know when it expires. This is the question I would highlight big time, or put lip liner around it or something. How would you rate your handyman skills? I would ask both him and her that. It's not just a guy question or a girl question. So, Angel, okay, I'm going to pick on you for a second. So I'm going to ask, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your handyman skills? Okay, that has just told me a whole lot. I'm going to ask a further question of, so you like to do repairs and putter and stuff? If he tells me, yeah. Now, when I ask that question, I've been told my handyman skills are like a 0, but my uncle is a contractor. He can do anything. I've got an uncle that's a plumber. I've got a cousin that's this. I got this. they've got all the works. Now, I as an agent know that if I find the perfect house, but it needs TLC, they've got the ability to do it. If he was to look at me and give me a blank stare, and I'm going to say, okay, if I gave you a hammer and a screwdriver, a nail and a screw, would you know which one went with which? And if he tells me no, we ain't getting a fixer-upper. Okay? If he tells me, oh yeah, I got a power drill and a electric nailer, game on, let's go. All right? But that question, do not overlook that question, because that is going to give you valuable information to determine whether the house you're going to take them to show them is a fixer-upper or, and if they can handle it or not. Okay? That one is worth its weight in gold. All right. In wrapping up there, I'm going to ask them what are the best ways they like to be communicated with. I want to know if it's a text message, if it's email, if it's by phone, what is the best way to communicate with them? They will tell me, and I'm writing it down. I will ask them if there's anything else that they're expecting of me or any questions at that point they have of me. No. If not, okay. As we wrap up, so let me ask you this. Based off what I am willing and able to do for you, does it sound like we're a good match? I think it is. And they will usually say yes. Okay, great. Here is our next step. That's where the buyer-broker agreement comes out. Okay? Because that is the first thing we need to do. Now, I will highlight this quickly with them, by the way, on the next page, the property preview. When I go out to preview a home or when we go out to view a home, I'm going to have one of these for every property we see. Okay? Now, I will print, I usually have like a whole stack of these babies printed out. I would take the MLS printout, I would staple it to this, and we're ready to go. Now, fun story. I had a client one time that was retired Secret Service, and we were going into an area that I was not as familiar with. It was a little bit of a drive, so I had a little 3-ring binder for him, and I had property 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and I had the MLS printout, I had this, and I had the driving directions from one property to the next property. He's flipping through it as we're in the car, and he goes, "Damn, girl!" He says, "I've been on presidential details advances that were not this well mapped out." He says, "If this real estate gig doesn't work out, let me know, I'll get you a job." I went, okay. Okay. But for him, blew him away. That was the D in him coming out. Details. Yeah. Yeah. And it took me, what, a couple minutes to prep. But it made my life a whole lot easier, and his. I will tell them when we go out, these are the things we're going to be looking at. You can review this later. We're going to rate the house, what you liked about it, what you didn't. Could you see yourself living there, yes or no? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate that home? You give me an 8, 9, or 10, we're going to have a conversation about writing an offer. Okay? If you're 8, 9, or 10. If you give me a 1 through 5, okay, if it's a 5, 6, or 7, I'm going to ask specifically what you liked and what you didn't like. If it's a 1, 2, or 3, shame on me. Because I didn't listen to them of what was important to them. And when we would go show a home, I would have this sheet with me. And I go, okay, Bob, based off what you told me in the initial consultation, these were the 5 things that were important to you. This house meets this, this, and this. Your D is going, hot damn. Okay? Your I is going, this is amazing. Your S and C is going boom, da da boom, da da boom, da da boom. Do you like that? Okay. So I always had this with me in highlight of what we're walking in to see. Okay. If you are working with a D, and again, either party or both parties could be a D, you not need to go, and this is the kitchen, because they're going to look at you and go, duh, no shit. She said it, I'm just quoting her. No shit. Okay. Really? You need to tell them it's a kitchen? Like they've never seen a kitchen before? Or a bathroom or a bedroom? I think they can identify that. So if you start that and they're D's, they're going to think you're an idiot. Her words and mine, both. All right? So I've got this. Based off what you told me in our initial consultation, these were the 5 things that were important to you. This house has all this, da, 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 da. This house was built in this year, this square footage, this number of bedrooms, this number of bathrooms, and I'm reading off the MLS, boom, da, da, boom, da, da, boom, da, da, boom, especially if I know they're a D. I'm seeing some heads nodding this way and some uh-huhs going on, all right? Once we have finished, and we have seen 3, 4, or 5 homes in an outing, at the last home, we're going to stop and I'm going to ask them to do me a favor. They're going to take these and they're going to put them in order of one. Let's say there's 5 houses we just went and saw. I'm going to have them put in, if they had to write an offer today, I want you to put these in order of the first one, second choice, third choice, fourth choice, fifth choice. And somewhere in my notations, I'm going to note which ones they rated 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Typically, I will have this 3-hole punched because I want it to go into their binder. We're going to talk about that in 1 second, and I know we're pushing on time. But this is going to allow me, did I hear them? Do they understand that I heard them? Am I getting it right? Am I nailing it? I'm not taking them out and showing them everything based off what they told me they didn't want. Boom. So based off this, it's going to help guide us. Where did I miss it? 4, 5, 6, or 7? 8, 9, 10, pretty much nailed it. Which of these, if you had to write an offer today, rank them 1 through 5 for me. If we go out another time, and again, these other properties, I will check. If properties 1 through 5 are no longer on the market, I let them know that they're gone. And that usually stings if there was one that they really liked and they needed to think about it. Who's going to think about it? Your S's. I need to think about it. Okay, because you're going to think about it, and somebody else is going to be sleeping in that bedroom in 30 days. Are you okay with that? Okay, and sometimes you need to ask them that question. Their biggest fear is making a decision that's a wrong decision or being taken advantage of. Your S's will want to read everything verbatim from start to finish. Okay, so this is going to give me a gauge of where we're at and how well we did. All right. In here, I will then pause there and let them know that there's some other pages here. If you have a sleepless night and can't sleep, get up and read this. It'll put you down. They usually giggle.
I want to add something, like if you're going to show more than 2 houses, showing time card, it helps a lot. Like it gives you how far each house from each, like 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Yep.
It can map everything and give you direction too.
Yep.
It does help a lot.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So I've left some fun information in here for you to read at your leisure. Why is my neighbor mowing my lawn? That's a good one. This is just one, by the way, of the many free reports and information that I have available for my clients. And by the way, they're all available on my website, or I'll send you one every once in a while that's pertinent to where we're at in the process. Okay? See what we did there?
One time a neighbor came over to the buyer's yard because
Yeah. You either have a really nice neighbor, and this one talks about not knowing and why it's important to have a survey done. Because sometimes, even with a fence, that fence ain't on the property line. So again, this is just good information for a buyer to understand and be aware of. And so when you get a chance, just peruse through it at your leisure. Now, as in all industries, we all have our own terminology. If I was to go into your world of business, you would have terminology that I wouldn't understand. Here's just a recap of some of the common terms that are used in the real estate world. Just wanted to have that available for you. Again, if you have a sleepless night, take a peek at it. It'll help put you down. On the back side there is some additional free reports and information that I have available for all my clients. If you don't have this and you want to take it out, take it out. I wouldn't if I were you. I would either create them, ask me what I have, and we're getting more and more downloaded into the Nest for you, have them onto your website, and I've showed you how to do that in some of our classes as well, step-by-step process. But here's where we wrap it up to the end. So it sounds like we're going to be a good match. I'm looking forward to working with you. So our next step is buyer-broker agreement. That's confirming that I'm going to be committed to work for you. And Here's where you want to start training your clients to ask and to say, what is our next step? And I always tell them, your next step is this. My next step is this. Your next step is this. My next step is this. It's known as being next step obsessed. The day that your client calls you and says, okay, Lynn, no, they won't call you Lynn, no, they'd call me Lynn. I've got this and this done, like you asked. What do I need to do next? You get on your desk and do the happy dance. Yeah. Now, if you've got windows in your office, somebody's going to look at you like you're nuts. But that is how you want to have the transaction flow. What is my next step? What is your next step? What is my next step? What is your next step? Because again, we told them we're going to put this together methodically for them. Your I's are going hot damn, your D's are going good, don't be wasting my time. Your S's and C's are going perfect because that's what they're wanting. You're walking them through the process step by step by step. We're not going to worry about X, Y, and Z yet because we're not there yet. We're going to worry about ABC. So what do we need to do first? We need to get you in contact with a preferred lender to make sure that you've got everything that's available. You've got the list of the stuff that you're going to need to pull to be ready to meet with them or get it to them. My next step is this. I'm going to analyze what you've told me your wants and needs were, and I'm going to start taking a look at what's out in the market. Once I confirm your purchasing power, then our next step will be to go take a look. The next step will be to make sure I got it right. And then your next step is to decide which home is going to meet your needs. Okay? Next step, next step, next step, next step. Okay? All right, I got a couple more things to show you real quick. Where did my thing go? Boom. There we go. And then we'll open it up for questions. How do you want to present this? A, you can staple it if you want. I don't care. You can put it in a 3-ring binder. You can put it in a folder. You can put it in one of these cutesy little things with a plastic cover sheet on it. You can put it in a binder with protector sheets and have it in there. I don't care. But if you're going to hole punch them and put them in a binder, make sure the pages are all even and nice and tidy, not all ziggy-zaggy, and I've seen that done about dyed. Really. So, you got a couple of choices of how you want to present it. Now, one of the things you can do is if you put it in a 3-ring binder with the ability to add on to it or in the prong folder to be able to add to it, whenever I had my buyers when we were going out and previewing homes, I would have it 3-hole punch for them because I wanted that included into the binder. I wanted them to be able to track what they've already seen, and if we need to have a conversation of why they have passed on a particular property, it puts them back into check. That's why we did it that way. Okay? As we moved forward, one of the things I always had was a bright red, whatever color you want to use, disclosures that need to be signed and returned. If you are not doing a digital signature, having something like this, obviously your business card would go on it. I would leave them any documents that they needed to sign or to take a look at. I'd leave it here and leave it with them. Always a bright color. Schools learned that way back when. You have something that you need to make sure you got the parents' attention on, put it in a bright color. They were going to remember it. Okay? Guide them to your website for the purpose of additional reports and information, but let them know you're going to walk through this process methodically, step by step with them. Boom. Now, the pre-listing packet, you can do, if some people want to do a pre-listing packet, you can do it. You can deliver it to their home. You can email it to them. That's your option. Some people just like to come in and present it or highlight off what we did. You know, what are the important things? We're good. You should be able, believe it or not, get through it once you've got it down to a science, about 30 minutes. Question's going to come is if they've got questions, what to do. Now, if they are a S personality type, where they want to read everything, or even the D's, who's, you know, you can print out a basic purchase agreement because you can have sample on it, or just put a line through it. and leave it to them in a folder, or go ahead and put it in the binder so that they can read it prior to actually writing a contract. Your D's are going to go perfect because they're going to read it. Your C's are going to take a look at it. Your S's, oh yeah. They're not signing anything until they've read it in its entirety. So by giving it to them ahead of time, and again, if you catch on that they want to read, like when you're doing the buyer-broker agreement and they're wanting to read everything before they sign it, that's when you can ask them, hey, I just thought of something. Would you like to have a copy of the contract ahead of time? It's just a blank generic one, so that you can read through the legalese of it before we actually get to that point. Would that be something that you would appreciate having? And if they tell you yes, they're a D and they're a S. Okay. I remember one of my first ones, both D's, both S's. He got the purchase agreement, read every page, and then he handed it to her, and she read every page. And then it went back to him, he signed it, went back to her, she signed it, and then they went on to page 2. I swear to God, I thought I was going to be there until Christmas 3 years later. Okay? But that was when I went, aha! I went ahead and got them the sample of other stuff that I knew we were going to sign so they could read it ahead of time. So when we came, we just went through what blanks I had filled in to double check that I got it in there correctly. They were happy campers. Okay? You can do, I know there are some companies now that are promoting doing a video pre-listing package. That's going to come a little bit later. Here's another thing that we have recommended that you do in early sessions of Jumpstart, was to be able to set up a Zoom or a GoToMeeting platform. Actually, look at there, session 1, page 12, we talked about it. One of the things that we will do is a template of a PowerPoint. I'll do a whole class on how to do the PowerPoint, where if you needed to do a buyer consultation remote, you can. Now, why is that important? They could be coming from another state, moving into the area. You think you're going to get them in necessarily for a pre-consultation? Probably not. If you can offer it by Zoom on a PowerPoint platform to go through the bullet points, you got yourself a winner. Again, the aha, thinking outside the box, doing something that somebody else is too lazy to do, there you have it. The other reason it comes in beneficial is, do you all get weather here? Do you get ice? Do you get snow? Just for the record, I don't drive in ice or snow. This California girl, yeah, no. I did it once, scared me to no end. Thought I was going to have a heart attack before the time I got home. When I have heard of agents who insisted on having their client come in and meet them, travel conditions were not favorable to be on the road safely. They got to the office. Client didn't show up. They got cranky because client didn't show up. They got really PO'd when client still didn't show up. They called the client, client's not answering the phone. They got their shorts in a wedgie. Then they find out why, usually several hours or the next day later. The reason the client didn't show up, they were involved in an accident, or they spun out on the freeway, either in the ice, the pouring rain, the snow, whatever it was, and that client was now in a ditch wrapped around a tree that was now taken out of the car and taken off to the hospital. You can do it that way if you need to. And how you present it is, hey, I know that we're due for some bad weather. I want to make sure you're safe on the road. Heck no, you want to make sure you're safe on the road. You don't tell them that part though. So to keep you safe, which way would you like to go? Do you still want to meet in person, or would you be comfortable in doing it by Zoom to get us started? Which is better for you? Either way, you're kind of okay with. But if the weather conditions are going to put you and them at risk, this portion can be done virtual. It is not optimal, but it can be done. Know how to do it, and know how to do it as an option in case it is needed. So let me wrap up, and then we'll open up for questions, okay? That way we get the mic up here. All right. So the last component I want to go through with you is, here is property as seen by their seller. It looks pretty. Everything's polished and ready to go. But here's how the buyers see it. A little more ragged. They're going to find all the flaws. Here's how the inspector is going to see it. holy moly, they're going to find everything wrong with it. But here is how the appraiser will see it. Yeah. Okay? So that is how it is seen, with a little tongue in cheek. So I wanted to share that with you. As we wrap down, then we're going to open it up for questions. Coming up in part 3, which will be, I think, in 2 weeks, we're going to cover how to leverage and how to use the concierge form. And yes, you will get it. You will learn, and again, be reminded of how to do the how did I do follow-up email. We mentioned it briefly in session 1 of the buyer consultation, which again is online. If you've missed it, please go back and listen to it. We're going to talk about additional tips to work with the buyers, sellers, and to search. We're going to teach you to think outside the box a little bit more, and the client follow-up. Once you have finished the transaction, a common mistake that agents make is they do not follow up with their past clients. Did you know that we have a program where you can sign them up in less than a couple minutes to do it? They will follow up with them for the next 5 years. Boom. I'm going to tell you about it. All right? So now you have a bunch of more ideas. Hopefully you've got some aha takes away. You understand the logic behind doing a buyer consultation. It is not engraved in stone. If there's a page that you just object to and don't like, take it out. And again, as our market shifts, you can add different stuff in there as well. All right? What is on your bookshelf? This is one that I've enjoyed that I wanted to share. And this was perfect as we get into our new challenge, the 1% solution. Do you realize that if you added 1% more, I'm going to say effort, methodical, well-placed effort to your business, it will change your business and change your life? So, great book. Wanted to give it a shout out. Again, I have no skin in the game on it, but I do like to pass it on. So with that, if we can get a microphone up and ready, I want to hear your aha takeaways. Yes, y'all have to share with us. Thank you, as always, for coming and being with me here live, as well as those that are online watching it. Always thank you to Cardinal Title that helps. Be the Uncola. Do what the other agents out there aren't willing to do. Know which pages in there is your boom that's going to separate you from everybody else, and think outside the box as you're looking for property for them. That's where that comes in. Okay, as always, I don't care what you know. I want to know what you're doing with what you know. The buyer consultation along with the seller consultation is one of the backbone pieces of your business. And nothing grinds my jaws any more than when I hear a agent say, well, I told them. Well, you may be auditory, they may be visual, you just missed them. And you wonder why they walked away, have gone with another agent. Or they went and decided to buy new furniture. Well, I told them. Did you have them sign it in blood? Because they're going to remember that. There is a reason, a science, and the logic to all of this. That is why. Okay, aha takeaway. We're going to start up here. We're going to pass the mic around. I want to hear your aha and your takeaway.
My aha is the, how do you call it? The home preview.
The home preview, okay.
The home preview. And my takeaway is basically implement it.
Implement it, okay. And again, you can download this and customize it. If you have any questions on customizing it, let me know. I'll help you. Yes, ma'am, you're up.
Okay. I think my aha will be the team. So inform them that we have a whole team behind us.
Yep.
And my takeaway
is implement it.
Implemented. I think I go with that too.
Yep. Excellent. Okay. Ms. Katie, mic is coming your way. Thank you.
AHA is on the FSBOs, how to approach all of that when letting a client know that I'm doing more than other agents. That's huge. I may be one of the lazy ones, actually. And take away the team thing also. There's a few things. I really like using compensation instead of commission.
Absolutely. And that comes in to a stronger play when you are working on the seller side? And we'll talk about that next month when we get into the seller consultations. Come in.
Actually is breaking down the 3% down. That's a picture. Not mentioning that. My takeaway is professional promise statement. It looks like it's going to help me a lot. Especially
Excellent.
I get referred a lot.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. All right, ma'am.
So my aha is the embedded command as we work together. That's really powerful. And then the takeaway again was for the for sale by owner for me.
Okay.
How to approach the seller and exactly what to say.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay.
Thank you. The aha moment was, what's my promise to you? What can I do for you? And, of course, delivering my promises, implementing it.
Excellent. Excellent.
My aha was as we work together and the focus on their needs and further understanding not doing dual agency, what bind that might get you in. So, and then my big takeaway was anticipating their potential objections or questions, so that I think it works both ways. I'm not surprised when I get a question that I'm not ready to answer. But I am instead being on the offense, being that I'm anticipating that question. I'm going to bring it up and address it.
Spot on. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Let's hear yours.
My aha was looking at properties that are expired or canceled listings and knowing that the appropriate protocol is to contact the listing agent that had it.
Correct.
Before reaching out to the people, the owners.
Yep.
And then my takeaway is the theory behind the 1% solution of having the consistency of effort.
Makes a big difference, yeah. And again, on that, if you're going to be going and reaching out to an expired, withdrawn, or canceled property, if it was yours, would you want somebody else going and knocking on the door of the client, or would you want the professional courtesy for them to contact you? I've done it several times, and I scored on it twice. Yeah, one was because he had fallen down the stairs, and the other one was the dog had puppies, and unexpectedly, and they did not want the dogs put into distress with people coming and going from a house or trying to move puppies. So they pulled it off the market for a couple weeks, and I just happened to find it. It was a perfect match for what my client needed. Bam, we were able to go forward. So excellent. I'm glad that was part of your takeaway as well. All right, any questions, comments, and aha takeaway?
I think my aha is that I've been trying to do this right for like 6 years, and I feel really good that everything you said is something I'm now doing. Good. So I'm like not trying to brag or anything, but I feel good about the class because I've done FSBOs and I've set the right, like I just feel really good about, listen, I do these classes to remind myself of all the things I should do. And when I hear you say them and I'm doing them, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And I'm going to take my takeaway as your list of free for the asking. I'm going to ask for all those because those pamphlets look like they'd be really good to hang. I used to have a bunch in my bag I carried around, and I actually got a builder to sign up with me because I handed some pamphlets like this, like what to do with a vacant property because you need property insurance that's changed, and what? Like, just those types of things really do help.
Yeah.
And I used to have a bunch I carried around when I was at the other broker, remain nameless, but
Yeah.
I don't carry them around since COVID because you don't do as much.
Yeah.
They'll be good to have. So yes, free.
And
Can you send them?
Yeah, go back and listen to, it's available in the Nest. I don't think it's in Samson University yet, but it's in the Nest. You can search for it. You can also go to YouTube and search it and find it. The class on leveraging with free reports, newsletters, and your website.
Yeah.
That'll help pull those together. And I just had them upload several of the free reports, so that should be in that component as well.
Okay.
So
well, I'll have to try to find that, and I'll email you if I can't. But
please. Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. And we have Angel up here that needs to share with us.
So, I agree with a lot of what everybody else said, but property preview, I feel I like that because if you look at several properties and the second or third property that they view, they can't remember the first one, and this kind of goes back. I always hand them the MLS printout, but they don't take enough notes there, so this kind of forces them to take notes. Just the whole presentation, the pamphlet of everything in order helps you cover all those things that you can forget when a buyer comes to you and they're ready to go right now. You need to slow down and just kind of give them this presentation. It just saves a lot of headaches.
It does.
Later on.
It does. And again, it's an interview. You're double checking. Can you work with them? Can they work with you? Are they realistic? Can you guys work together? And again, we need to put the cart before the horse, or the horse before the cart. So again, it's all about overcoming some of the objections. Now, based off the areas that you may specialize in, if you are hearing the same objection or concern coming up over and over, if you've heard it twice, it's out there more than that. So that is when you would then add it into your consultation, wherever you feel it's appropriate to put in there. Because again, this is a living and breathing document. Okay, it's never one and done. Now, with that, when we do next time's class part 3, we'll get into some, again, a lot more of the how do you handle some of the other stuff and how do you add in and all that kind of stuff. So know that this is a 3-parter. I would encourage you to all go back and listen to part 1. Obviously, re-listen to this one if you need to, because it was a lot. And then part 3 is coming up in about 2 weeks. So, okay? All right, with that, thank you so much for coming and being with us today. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you. Enjoy, be awesome, be part of the challenge for quarter 4 that we've just been talking about, that we just launched at the sales meeting. And make sure you all sign in, because guess what? Y'all get points for being in class. All right, we will see you next time. Bye-bye. You're welcome. You are welcome.